Good morning, sunshine, and welcome to my first sketchbook tour. Honestly, this video is just full of sweat and tears. I filmed it 3 times and recorded my voiceover 2 times, and it was just such a hard process. I was never satisfied, and I eventually decided to just stop stressing out and taking this so seriously. Sometimes I just get so caught up in the process and wanting the final results to be amazing that I forget to just have fun and trust my instincts and that everything's going to be fine. That was the case here. The reason behind all the redos and the stress is that this sketchbook is one that is very, very important to me. I bought it at my university bookstore the day I moved 5 hours away from my hometown to study in a language that was not my mother tongue. It was just such a big step in my life. The sketchbook was like a very familiar thing in a very unfamiliar world, and it really helped me process all the new things around me. The sketchbook also happens to mark the year I started to take my art seriously. Don't get me wrong, I've always drawn since I was very little. However, I don't know exactly when, but I got comfortable with my art. I lived in a very small town and people constantly praised me for my art at school because nobody else really drew. Because of that, I kind of stopped trying and I just settled for whatever skill I had at the time. It was only really when I started the sketchbook and I moved out of my parents' house that I started to get out of my art comfort zone again. It's like once I got out of my comfort zone in life, I got out of my comfort zone in art. The weirdest part was that stepping out of that comfort zone was not scary. It was exciting, it was unusual, it was a bit weird at times, but I was never scared or insecure or embarrassed about any of the drawings I made in that period. In fact, drawing kind of helped me overcome the obstacles I faced now that I was becoming an adult and having to do groceries and chores and having to, I was so anxious about starting university in English and living on my own that I just didn't really have the time to be insecure about my art. I didn't have any art goals for this sketchbook, but I kind of naturally tried to do things I have stopped trying to do. For example, one thing that really improved in the course of the sketchbook is that I stopped avoiding hands. Before this, I was afraid of hands, and I would avoid drawing them by just drawing a portrait shot or having the person hide their hands behind their backs. That was the thing. I think everybody does that. Another thing that really improved is that I started to draw different clothing. Before this, almost everything I drew wore jeans, and if it was a guy, a t-shirt, if it was a girl, a tank top. I tried to also draw people of different ethnicities and sizes, although I feel I didn't do as much of that as I could have. In the next sketchbook after this, I definitely do a lot more with that, but this sketchbook is still what got me started on that. Another thing I really worked on and saw an improvement in was that while my characters previously tend to look the same, in the sketchbook I learned to draw different faces, and faces that weren't always necessarily what I thought was pretty. So we get chubbier faces or faces with cheekbones. I really like cheekbones now, but back then I never drew them, just didn't know what they were, I guess. I watched a lot of art YouTubers in this period of time, so you might see some influences here and there. YouTube is also a part of what helped me try new and different things, and I'm really grateful for that. I decided during the course of the sketchbook to start my own YouTube channel. It took me a long time, it's still a work in progress, but hey, I have a YouTube channel now, so that's good. Another thing about the sketchbook is I learned about new media in it. Primarily markers. So I started to use Crayola markers here and there to add a pop of color and make my sketches more lively, without having to invest the time it takes with colored pencils. Sometimes you want to color something, but you don't want to make it all pretty, and color pencils just take forever to fill up the space, while with markers it takes a couple seconds. It was super useful. It's also during the sketchbook that I bought my first watercolor set which is a Sakura Koi watercolor set. And I use it a couple times in the sketchbook. You might also notice watercolor pencil as well as Crayola crayons. There's a lot of exploration here, and I think it really helped me become a more diverse artist. Now that I've explored so much medias, I feel like I have a wider choices, and it helps me realize the images I want to create. So if I have a picture in mind, I can choose the media that suits it best. I am very grateful to the sketchbook and how it helped me to better my art. I'm also happy because it taught me to work faster, and since the sketchbook I've filled way more sketchbooks way quicker. I'm so glad to be posting it and talking about it, since that gives me some sense of closure, since I still feel like it isn't done. Okay, this video is coming to an end. Thank you so much for watching my video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. I post new art videos every Friday. Bye!